Okay. Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's teachers workshop on the topic of COVID-19, understanding the challenges and the solutions of the new world for education's frontline workers. Friends, during the COVID-19, the challenges for teaching and learning outside the traditional classroom have risen, especially for environment education and reconnecting with nature. The need of the hour is to innovate and implement alternative educational system and assessment strategies. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided us with an opportunity to pave the way for introducing digital learning. This pandemic has forced us into a virtual world of teaching through different kind of apps and devices. But the virtual world has its challenges also. Education has been globally recognized as a key solution to achieving sustainability in development. It is imperative that young generation builds appreciation for nature and see value in the preservation to avoid further irreparable damage to our planet. Experts in environment and education are convinced that environment education should go beyond books. They equip students to make informed decisions and build the skills to take environmentally responsible actions for their immediate surroundings. For many involved with the environmental education, the pandemic has been particularly difficult, with lockdowns meaning the class and programs have to be cancelled. And in many places, these lockdowns continue. But what does this all mean for the future of environmental education? What are the possible future that can be imagined once the pandemic has subsided? These questions cannot, of course, be separated from the present experience of the societal impact of COVID-19 also. So keeping all these things in mind, CMS Vatavaran on the eve of World Environment, it decided to organize this workshop, and here we all are together. So uh, to start the session formally, I request our Director General, Ms. P. N. Vasanti, to welcome all the participants and dignity and start the session. Ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. It's absolutely a delight to be with all of you today on the eve of course, World Environment Day, and especially for this particular workshop. I really am very happy that my colleague Sabi and the whole team of CMS Vatavaran decided to have this workshop. As you know, we are already doing a lockdown special film festival since May 22nd, the World Biodiversity Day, and we'll continue to do so till June 8th. And every day we are showing special films, having interaction with the filmmakers. We also had one very special discussion with conservationists and researchers on looking at the health and COVID and the impact of each other, what this epidemic will mean in terms of health, and how is that related to our biodiversity, and what we need to do immediately at our individual levels, and of course at different levels of government and corporates. So we continue to do so, and in that whole program, Sabyasachi, as you all know him, decided that we should certainly do something on environmental education, because children and teachers have always been of a concern to us, and we are always interested in doing something special for them. And that's why this particular workshop. So I like to welcome each and one of you. Teachers and parents are under special stress in COVID. We all understand it. We don't acknowledge it enough, and we do acknowledge it enough. We need to acknowledge it enough and appreciate it, and see how and what we can do to support them in this particular challenging times, I guess. I just want to take a minute to explain why we are talking to you today. In the, as you know, most of you know us, but let me just kind of refresh in terms of what we've been doing. I represent the Center for Media Studies, which is a 30-year-old organization working in different fields of development in India. In 2002, we started this movement called CMS Vatavaran. And since then, we've created a platform where we engage with different stakeholders. And for us,
Ma'am, just Richa Srimali Srivastav, kindly please mute yourself because it's creating a lot of disturbance. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is the Zoom problem of trying to. Okay, doesn't matter. So what I was saying is, since 2002, CMS Vataran was created to see how we can engage different stakeholders and to also bring the scientists and the researchers uh, and connect them with all stakeholders. Whether it's, when I say stakeholders, I specifically mean filmmakers, media, of course, civil society, and conservation organizations who are working on ground, and especially youth. When I say youth, of course, it's children and young people, and then obviously civil society, when I including parents and teachers, of course. So this has been happening since, in the form of festivals, film screenings, film competitions, or different kind of competitions, workshops. We've had quizzes, we've had essay competition, we have painting competition. So we use different formats, and of course films have been very effective in terms of touching both hearts and the mind. But I think COVID has really shown us that we're already too much into screen. So how do we get out of that? And even within the screen, what quality of programs and films can you watch? We've had some fantastic success stories from Vatavaran, including we made a package of films for children and a resource for teachers and schools, and shared it with not only private schools but with government schools across India, about 50,000 of them passed. But we continue to do so and interact with schools and colleges to showcase our rich library of films. We have more than 2,000 films on different aspects of environment. And as for example, on Elephant Day, we'll showcase a film on elephants, or on No Ozone Day, we will showcase a film on what climate change is doing to the ozone. So things like that, we kind of now the whole team is all ready, and whenever anybody comes up and asks for our resources and expertise, we are happy to provide them at any given time. And all this is done free, by the way, nothing is charged. So I invite all the teachers present today also to kind of use our resources and come back to us if we can be of any help to you. We really appreciate and acknowledge the hard times that we're all going through, especially the parents and teachers, and happy to help in any way possible, not only during COVID, but afterwards also, on how we can do. So just a quick word that please use the chat box and say hello to everybody. Tell us your name and where you are from, so that we have a list of people who are participating. We've had very good response. My colleague Preeti and Kavita have been following up, and they got very good response from schools that they were interested in this issue. But given that so many programs are happening, I don't know how many of them ultimately joined. But for us, numbers are not important. We all know one teacher can inspire millions, and I think teachers are for us the important gatekeepers. And we are very interested in working with you to ensure you inspire others to especially reach the potential. Again, once again, can you please mute yourselves, please?
Miss Megha Sharma, kindly mute yourself. Miss Megha Sharma.
I think they're joining in and they're not muting themselves, right? That's what is happening.
Sonia ji, kindly mute yourself. Sonia Jangid.
So all of you can just write in the chat box instead of everybody speaking, because technologically it will not be possible. So we'll just I just want you to put your name in the chat box so that we know who we are talking to, and also like to welcome and thank our partners in this whole exercise of doing this festival, the High Commission with in India, the Canadian High Commission in India, and the European delegation in India, which is running a special biodiversity campaign called Lead the Green Change. You can see their work on leadthegreenchange.in website. And the High Commission, I'm very happy and grateful that our colleagues are there from there, and we have Mr. Rajani to give the keynote welcome speech today after I finish. But I think I especially want to kind of acknowledge and thank the three very eminent resource persons that we have today. All three of them come from many years of working in the sector as a specialist. They all are scientists. For example, Lima is a scientist in herself, and she's dedicated her life only on looking at how do I interpret and explain environmental issues, complex issues to in a simpler way to general public, especially students. And she's an old friend, and she's done many workshops with us. In fact, she's helped us develop curriculum also earlier when we were asked to do so by the government of Delhi. And also Radhika Suri, I think everybody, especially formal schools, know WWF very well because they do so many programs with schools in India. And Radhika has been is the head of all initiatives at WWF, which has to do with schools and environment education. She has not only used technology and websites, but also has very one-to-one specialized programs that really look at not just films, but also how we can involve schools and at institutional level conservation education or environment education into the whole curriculum or into the pedagogy of schools. Sasha, thank you once again for joining us. She is the co-founder of Mohim, and I think with COVID, one good thing is that we already have people talking about mental health, and it is an important issue. It always has been an important issue, but I think pressures have increased during this particular epidemic, and I think with our disconnect with nature, this stress will increase. So we really need to go beyond that now and to see how we can uh, help teachers reconnect students with nature, because we know that it's not just about teaching how important nature is to our survival or the aesthetic issues or the science behind it, or but it also look at the spiritual, the mental, and the health benefits of nature. And I think all three of them together will help the teachers understand the challenges. Of course, the teachers will share themselves, but how do we go forward from this, and what have we learned till now in terms of the pandemic? So I once again welcome each one of you, and I would request the teachers that please do not hesitate to ask questions. This is a workshop, so yes, you will get a chance to talk to all the panelists. They're not here to give you a lecture, but they're here to interact. So after the initial speech or discussion, feel free to write your comments in the chat box and send it to us. We will, my colleague Kavita and Preeti are online. They will see, and Sabi will also push the questions to the respective panelists, and they'll answer all your questions. So welcome once again to all the teachers. We are with you. We are with you. This pandemic, and we continue to help you in every possible way to ensure that you're not only reconnecting with your own students, but inspiring the students to reconnect with nature. Once again, thanks to all the panelists, and special thanks to Mr. Ali Khan Rajani for coming over today and making this inaugural address. So I hand it over now to Mr. Rajani. Mr. Rajani, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. It's a real privilege and pleasure to be with you here today to inaugurate this workshop on environmental education. This workshop is particularly topical, given the world is grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic and all of the effects and after effects of the pandemic. Water and air pollution, chemical exposures, biodiversity loss, climate change, all of these issues have exacerbated the human health and socioeconomic effects of public and environmental health crises, which have affected us around the world. And they're particularly evident now, given the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, despite the list being long of issues that do need to be addressed, there obviously is a huge opportunity that also is presented in front of us. The idea of building back better. This is where you as teachers and educators can really play a leadership role. Education frontline workers not only increase people's knowledge about the environment, but they also help to develop the Sorry, could I ask people to mute their microphones, please?
Miss Munmun, Harpreet Kaur, Rohit Dhingra, kindly mute yourself. Rohit Dhingra, kindly mute yourself. Uh, can I request Gaurav to mute everyone? And
Yeah, I guess that's a better option. You can ask everyone to be muted.
yeah, I'm really
Thank you
sorry,
so
Mr.
much.
Rajani, for the
Don't worry. No. This is part of the ongoing challenges of working without being together live, where it's easier for us to not have speakers on. But as I was saying, the education frontline workers are not only increase people's knowledge about the environment, but they also help develop the necessary skills and expertise to address environmental challenges. And that's why your role is so important. By adopting innovative ways to develop environmental awareness amongst youth and to educate them about environmental protection, you can help become agents of positive climate action. By supporting green programs, for example, at educational institutions, by fostering sustainable attitudes and proactively making environmentally friendly choices, we can all contribute to a more sustainable and inclusive future. The Government of Canada is also committed to building an economy and a society that is stronger, more resilient, and more sustainable than ever before. As part of this commitment, Canada is proud to collaborate with CMS Vatavaran to organize this workshop. And we really thank you for being on this issue for many years, and in fact, continuing throughout the pandemic and finding creative ways to still connect and engage the community as you continue to do, like this workshop today. I'm also delighted as I look at the list of panelists and experts that are going to be sharing their rich experience with you during today's workshop. The exchange of these ideas and best practices from this diverse group really will make for a very fruitful discussion today, I'm sure. It will empower, I hope, it'll empower all of the participants, participating teachers to become the guiding force and be well-informed mentors of our future generation. So please, let's make a pledge today. Let us inform, inspire, and influence youth so they can become the torchbearers for protecting the environment today and in the years ahead. Together, let us ensure that environmental protection and positive climate action do not take a backseat during this crisis, and in fact, move the society along to this important cause to protect generations to come. Thank you all so much for your participation. Congratulations to all of you for having organized this from CMS Vatavaran, all the people in the background that we don't see on the screen that make it happen, but also all of you as participants. We know there's absolute Zoom fatigue, and it's hard to make time to do all of these things, let alone do them on a screen. But your presence here today and the large number of turnout, here, that was well over 60 the last time I looked, just speaks to how important the issue is, and your commitment, your dedication, and your passion to these issues. Don't lose it. Build it, grow it, and we're here to foster it with you and know that Canada is with you and CMS is with you to be able to further this agenda together. Thank you very much, and all the very best for your workshop today.
Oh, Mr. Rajani, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for those inspiring words. Clearly, you've set the agenda for all of us to follow. Once again, thanks for your support and thanks for being us to give this inaugural address. I hand over now to Sabi to continue with the workshop and take it forward. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Rajani, for wonderful words. That was very, it will give us inspiration to do more. Certainly, Zoom fatigue is there. And if you see today that 4th and 5th, that is World Environment Day, you can see at least more than 500 online programs which are going there. But this is the demand of the time. So keeping all these things with all the points you had raised, and this fatigue and the problems which this pandemic has created in front of the teaching community, and the questions which it has raised. So answer these questions, we had decided to do this workshop, and this workshop will be divided in 3 sessions. And as Vasanti ma'am was saying, that we have very learned, very wonderful 3 experts are with us, and let me have the pleasure to introduce them to you. So we have with us Miss Rima Rosalind. Lima is director Green Future Foundation Conservation, and she is a conservation educator, sustainable livelihoods and interpretation professional. Um, Lima is a wildlife biologist, having worked on many endangered species like the Bengal florican, black-necked crane, and several others. As an environment educator, she is very passionate about spreading awareness on the nature conservation. She is also a very keen interpreter of natural history and has set up visitor centers in national parks and sanctuaries. Research in wildlife biology, environment education, interpretation of natural and cultural sites, sustainable livelihoods, policy advocacy, training, and capacity building for conservation awareness are some of her areas of expertise. After having worked with the Bombay Natural History Society's Center for Environment Education, Ahmedabad, Worldwide Fund for Nature, India, and spending 26 years, she now runs a section of 8 companies, Green Future Foundation, with 3 other directors. On behalf of CMS Vatavaran Award, welcome you, Lima ma'am. And we are with us Miss Radhika Suri ma'am. She is Director Environment Education in WWF India. She is an educator for nearly 3 decades. She has had a stint at almost every fact of the education sector and has worn many hats. Through her journey as a teacher, education entrepreneur, and eventually into the non-profit sector, she has applied many domain expertise and pedagogical understanding into areas like development of educational programs, curriculum framework, learning resources, creating learning spaces, and assessment for a diverse range of audiences. She started her journey as Environment Education Director at WWF India in 2015. She laid the foundation of a 5-year long education strategy, which eventually resulted in raising the profile of environment education with the organization as well as in the country. WWA India has witnessed growth from engagement of children in urban areas to the program reaching the remotest area of India. These standardized education programs continue to have an impact on lives of more than 5 lakh children and youth every year. And last not the least, we have with us Shasa Are. She is co-founder at Moksha, and she is a mental health professional and education consultant. Uh, uh, and Shasha has worn a lot of different hats as a Cambridge trainer, IB teacher, psychologist, education consultant, and finally an entrepreneur. She aims to bring a mindset shift towards the acceptance of mental well-being among the Indian workforce. She is the co-founder of Moksha, which is a health tech firm, help businesses to build and nurture the sustainable work culture. So on behalf of CMS Vatavaran, I will welcome all of you. And friends, Lima has is kind enough to and she will be moderating the session. She had given her acceptance. So Lima, I will request you to kindly take over the charge of the session.
Thank you, Sabya. Good morning, everybody. I'll just share my screen a bit. Please, Sabya, enable my screen sharing, please.
Yeah. Just hold on.
Gaurav is doing it. Lima, go ahead in the meanwhile.
Yeah, he's disabled my screen sharing. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. Hi, Radhika and Sasha. It's a pleasure to be on the same panel with all of you. Welcome, teachers. You're my favorite constituency. I love to talk to you and learn from you. So it's always, Sabya, it's not yet enabled, okay? I know all of us share the planet together. You are as much affected as me. I know we all have been, thrown in the deep end, and sometimes we wonder how do we take this, uh, and sometimes wonder how do we give these lessons to our kids. I know all of us have an onerous task at our hands, and I think while some of us have got a hang of doing things, the participants, the constituency whom we cater to, in your case, the children, and in my case, teachers and policy makers and all kinds of other people, all of us are really looking at solutions, really looking at how do we enable each other, how do we uh, you know, uh, work with each other? How do we learn from each other? What is that one magic wand, if we had with us, that can, lessen the burden of both the teachers and the learners? So I'm not saying I have all the answers with me, but I'm going to explore a few things. I'm going to share a few things from my learnings, from what I have realized, from what I know. And once the host enables my screen sharing, I think we will be there to look at what I want to present with you and what I want to share with you. Sabya, this is
Yeah, ma'am, just a second, ma'am.
yeah.
Ima, sorry about some technical issues. But
Not a problem.
we're working on it. We'll get it on right now.
So yeah. So so one of the stuff that we need to that I want to share with you is about. Given this current climate crisis, this is more or less a climate crisis. This is a zoonosis. What is a zoonosis? I know most of you will have an idea of what zoonosis is all about. This is a disease or a disease created from an animal to a human. However, a whole lot of scientific evidence we've not been able to identify, but WHO has declared that this is a zoonosis. So in this current scenario, one of the things that we need to look at is what do we prepare our students for? Is it the same kind of didactic learning? I know you have a curriculum to complete. I know you have a curriculum to deliver, and all of you are engaged with that. And you're doing all kinds of teaching, you're doing blended teaching, blended learning, all of that. But the question that educators ask themselves every day and each day is, in this rapidly changing world and the challenges our children are facing today, what will the future be based on? How can uh, how can we identify problems that yet are not identified? So the fact is that we live in a world that is rapidly changing. My presentation is still not enabled, guys.
Our usual guy is on leave again, COVID related grandma's death in the village, so he had to go. So the second guy in charge is not able to set it up properly, but we're working on it. Sorry about it, Lima.
Okay, so for the schools need to keep an eye on the future and ensure that we're giving our students a strong foundational skills. So what is it? Are we taking out the crystal balls and trying to predict the future? We know that our children will be living in a world dealing with issues caused by mass scale industrialization. That is a given. A whole lot of stuff that we're doing right now using the technology through which I, sitting in Ahmedabad right now, can talk to hundreds of people across the globe and pan India. That itself is a marvel. And thank you for being part of that IT technology. So, so what is this? What am I trying to tell you? One of the things that I'm trying to tell you here is that schools, while also trying to impart the didactic educational knowledge, we also right now need to look at teaching sustainability. And how do we do that? What is happening? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Lima. It's going on. I'm sorry, there is some issues that we're not able to resolve. But I wish we had done this check beforehand. But
Yeah.
we are working on it. We will be with you in just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Go ahead, please. Thanks.
Okay.
So sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so let me talk from, so I'm going to talk from my presentation. So COVID-19 has proved to be one of the potential challenges to humanity in the 21st century. All of you agree. It is a health impact, and it's evident from the sudden and unforeseeable halt it has brought to the economic, social, educational activities, and has stoked apprehensions of uncertainty ahead. You will agree with that.
Lima?
UNESCO, in a UNESCO estimate, the lockdown and restrictions induced by the pandemic have affected 60% of the global student population, with schools being shut and examinations being postponed and cancelled. A whole lot of mental health issues also comes in, and I'm sure Sasha is going to address a whole lot of it.
Lima, try your presentation once again. You're a co-host now.
I'm a co-host. Okay.
You can share your screen.
Not yet.
But you are a co-host. You can do it. Yes.
Yeah, share.
Yes.
What am I sharing?
Yes, you're sharing. You need to open your presentation.
Yes. Yes, we see it.
You can see me? You can see
Yeah,
the presentation?
absolutely, we see it now.
Okay, so this is a scenario that all of us are expecting later on when the school reopens, and all of us don't know when and how that is going to happen, but this is a scenario which I was really sad to say, children have to so the social distancing part of school education is not something that you and I have gone together in our lifetimes. So according to UNESCO estimate, 60% of the global population has suffered because of schools being shut and postponed. And of course, so one of the things that has brought this whole pandemic has brought to the fore, both for me as an educator, because we still continue to do education programs with rural schools in different parts of the country, is the challenge of making environment, making nature relevant. And I'm happy to say, with schools being shut and with the whole world coming to this lockdown, a whole lot of nature, a whole lot of the outdoors has begun to surprise us. We've been looking, but now we've been seeing stuff. It has all, and that is what makes it beautiful. The significance of maintaining a symbiotic relationship with nature. You are now looking at flowers blooming in March. You're looking at leaf shed in the spring, looking at new blooms. You're looking at insects. You're looking at birds in your garden and outside. If you can, move around in your complexes, in your colonies. There has been a significant drop in greenhouse gas emissions thanks to all our cars being static in our compounds. And that is, of course, one of the silver linings of the pandemic. However, the petrol costs have not reduced. So that is another thing that we need to look at and ponder about. We really can't do much about it, but it is interesting to look at why, in spite of not using, the fuel, rates are still going high. Post COVID era, I am certainly a very changed person, and each one of us, I'm sure, is going to be fundamentally different. Psychology has been altered, the way we look at communities has altered, the way we look at learning has altered, the way we look at our parents, our relationships, love, our work, everything has altered. And of course, this wide adoption of digital education. And I'm sure teachers, you have a huge challenge on your hand. How do you make education interesting? How do you make a lesson plans interesting? Is the child, what are some of the etiquettes that they need to come when you know, when you give them the digital education? What are some of the etiquettes? Are children, what is the level of understanding? Do they understand? How much do they really uh, understand? I know a child, of course, in Delhi, who who completely abhors sitting in front of the computer for his lessons. However, since both his parents are filmmakers, that child can watch hours and hours of environment films. How cool is that? If we were to create educational learning, and if we were to, from these sources, from these resources that we have, I would like to go back to school again then. Yeah, so therefore, it is important to bring about long-lasting behavioral change to live in harmony with nature. I think nature is our greatest teacher. It is our greatest teacher, and it will teach us a whole lot of stuff. However, there's another stakeholder in this education sector that I would like to talk about. Who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are those people who run schools. Stakeholders are those coordinators who create these the learning atmosphere. They have some lifelong lessons to learn in this pandemic. And they need to create a paradigm shift to an eco-friendly mode of education. How they'll be doing it is something that we're all learning, we're all exploring, we're all looking forward to that one magic wand. But I would just like to bring to the fore a news item which says 1,500 schools in Gujarat are up for sale. So teachers, what does this say about the education sector? Is there going to be a fundamental shift in how education will be in the near future? How are we going to teach our children? One of the things that I would like to emphasize here today is education for sustainable development as a medium to achieve sustainable development goals. This is not just for, yeah. So this is not just for, this is not like an alternate curriculum for schools. However, within the school curriculum, there are 17 sustainable development goals. And one of the few things that you teachers can look at is from your curriculum, how do you bring forth teaching about the sustainable development goals? And that is education for sustainable development. Students, I know, are leaders of tomorrow, and I'm sure a whole lot of them are right now quite sensitized towards what is happening to this globe and how we as citizens of this planet are contributing towards it. And this pandemic, I must say, has been the greatest teacher for all of us across the board. A few things that education, what is education for sustainable development? Education for sustainable development also plays a role in cognitive learning. It teaches you analytical thinking and problem solving skills. How we answer questions such as how we learn, what we learn, where we learn. And these are skills that children need to be informed, that children need to know, understand for decision making on sustainability. How are your consumer patterns going to change? How is hoarding? I mean, all of us have been hoarding and buying and buying. And in this pandemic, I existed with 6 pairs of clothes. What are my wants? What are my needs? Is there a difference between a want and a need? Are we going to go back to that sale and keep on buying and buying? Are my consumer patterns changing? how am I going to live my life in the future? These are few things that you can teach your children, because this is all about making this planet livable, so that we are not one of the players in future pandemics. This is not to say that this pandemic is the be all and end all and we're not going to have other pandemic. We soon are getting ready for other pandemics. So we need to change our consumer pattern. We need to change at how we look at life right now. We need to look at what we want, what we need, and how are we managing our lives. I know this is all about economics, and the economic scales have also dipped. However, for us to sustain this planet, we need to look at answering some of these questions. Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD as it's called, empowers learners to transform themselves. Once they transform, societies and communities will transform. And maybe we can avert another pandemic. Another thing, the sustainable the education for sustainability and the 17 sustainable development goals. I'm sure some of you know that. Some of them are reducing poverty, no hunger, education for all, health for all of that. There are 17 of them. And India is committed to creating value in for all the 17 sustainable development goals. And a lot of our policies are right now reflecting on what we're doing in that arena. So this model will help us to understand other things also. Disparities in access to education. A lot of children have fallen off the grid because I know that one of my gardener's children did not have a smart mobile to learn for digital learning in schools. So how do we empower them? And several such examples across India, across the globe, across the developed nations. So what are the tools to address for education and transform ideas? So we need to, I'm not giving you a solution. I'm asking you to think about it. And I don't have the solutions with me. But yes, this is way forward, because if we don't sustain ourselves, if we don't transform this planet, we're going to be in the grip of pandemic after pandemic if we don't change our consumeristic habits. What has happened to education? School closures in over 180 countries. Like I said, this pandemic has brought about inequalities in education. It has brought about deficiencies in remote learning for lack of instruments and modes of communication. I'm running environment education schools in some remote parts of this country, in places like Banaskantha and Patan in Gujarat. And we know that we are not able to create programs for them because children don't have internet access. They all have mobiles, they all have smartphones, but there is no internet access. How do we circumvent that? So there are deficiencies in remote learning. The cost of digital divide is so huge that teachers who live in urban areas and who teach urban children, I'm sure you would not fathom the depth of deficiency that we are facing while we want to be in touch with children. So schools, of course, play a huge role, and schools are the biggest catalyst in creating change for students, for their health and well-being. A few things that schools can teach about sustainable development is forming habits from a young age. Sustainability is not shouldn't be taught something that should be inculcated in personal lifestyle, but a child has to in a way relate to it. Soil is not dirt, earth is not dirt, and I'm sure all of you agree that daag achhe hain. A few things that you can inculcate in children is to grow food. That is going to be another serious pandemic, because I'm sure with change in climate, and climate change is a huge crisis. Zoonosis, the current pandemic that we are going through, is also a an effect of climate change. So food is going to become an extremely valuable resource going forward. So can we grow our own food? Can we grow a garden? Can we grow our own vegetables? Can we eat healthy? These are things that children can learn. And children can also teach adults. Like they say, when a woman learns, or when a woman learns in a home, she educates the whole family. Similarly, when a child learns, he transfers back that knowledge to the elders. And therefore, parents, family members, and communities become part of that learning guild or grid. And sustainability education in schools can be a real catalyst for change. And please don't underestimate this. Don't operate from how do I do it? We have the resources, come to us, we will give you the knowledge, we will give you the tools. And all of us put together can create change for a pandemic-free globe, for a pandemic-free world. Reconnecting with nature, ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, is a key enabler for all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, like I said earlier. And why am I saying that this is not just the first pandemic that the whole world is facing? Because animals are losing their habitat, because climate change crisis is so deep. Deforestation, loss of habitat, all of that is going to become more critical and more crucial going forward. And how do I have a role to play? Of course, I have a role to play, because I have a carbon footprint. My consumer attitude, the kind of stuff that I use, the kind of stuff that I don't reuse, that I don't recycle, that I don't upcycle, has a carbon footprint. And that carbon footprint is going to be the bane for climate change. Because unless we transform our lifestyles, unless we become a climate warrior, we will be contributing to future pandemics. So it is important to look at it. It's important to turn the tide or break the chain. That's too cliched anyway. Turn the tide is how I would like to look at it. Another thing that has come about in this whole pandemic is how we've learned, how the current crisis has shown the potential of human beings and community to respond to crises, to collaborate to find the best solutions. We are doing that. We're doing it in the digital space. We're doing it in several spaces. I know hundreds and hundreds of my friends have gone back to growing their food, have gone back to buying farms, have gone back to nature, and have gone back to living healthy, because everybody now understands what is the need for oxygen. Everybody now understands what immunity is all about. Everybody understands what limited resources we have and how those things are going to change going forward if this pandemic continues. And we don't know really how long this is going to happen. So can we all come together to mitigate these challenges? Can we come together to create a new world, new learnings, both for ourselves and for the children whom we are responsible for? Education for sustainable development, let me assure you, will help us in tackling the dual changes of health and well-being, not only for ourselves, but also for this planet, and mitigate climate change. And of course, e-learning and internet are the best resources to reduce carbon footprint. Won't you agree with me? You have the use of paper has gone down by millions of tons. How cool is that? However, trees are still being cut. There is huge deforestation happening for development projects, because we need electricity, we need internet, we need 5G, and we need 4G and all of that. So, this is really Hobson's choice. This is really diabolic in nature. However, going forward, education for sustainable development might have some answers. I'm not saying all, but it might have some answers to reduce our carbon footprint, both as consumers and as citizens of this planet, and in education. I just wanted to touch upon a few opportunities to leverage while we're all looking at this crystal ball and trying to identify, solutions, a few things that came to my mind is about blended learning approaches. I know this still increases screen time. This is about how you teach your lessons, as well as how you use some of the resources like the videos, I mean, YouTube videos and films. CMS Vatavaran is a huge source. Can we take clippings from there? I know this is a huge job, but I also know the governments, both I know for sure the Gujarat government has done some huge work in creating lesson plans for CBSE and IB and all that stuff for all those levels of schooling. And I'm sure governments across India has enabled teachers with these learning resources. So how do we engage learning styles? How do we engage with them? Can it be more interactive? And is that better than face-to-face learning? How are children adapting to it? And I'm sure in this 2 years of pandemic, there has been a lot of learning, both from your side and from our side as environment educators. And I'm sure teachers, you've also been, thrown in the deep end and trying to figure out how you will create the best out of what you have. But we know that blended learning can draw best of both worlds and create better learning experiences. Teachers will have to, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Lina, we can.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, teachers will have to innovate and experiment with online tools, and of course, continue online pedagogies. And mind you, teachers and schools have the highest respect right now, because I think that is one of our lifelines for society, to not only learn but to also appreciate the kind of stuff that you are doing. So hats off to you, teachers. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. One of the things going forward that I'm hoping will be available is for you is better curated learning materials that might be available to you. And Vasanti, it's also important for us to look at some of these resources that we have for in these 3 decades of CMS Vatavaran, and how can we leverage that for teachers to teach some of these 17 sustainable development goals, or enable them in taking forward education for sustainable development. So Vasanti, this is also some thought for CMS and for you at CMS. This is for some of the stakeholders of schools. If you are a principal, or if you are running a school and you're listening to this, I know that you've been trying to manage things while going digital. It does have upfront costs, but the long-term impact will be huge and will be profitable for all of us. I'm talking in terms of how you leverage your digital learning. And also to say that the ongoing COVID crisis has underscored the need for adaptability and out-of-the-box thinking as a key for our survival. So this pandemic right now has been, other than the health aspects and the pandemic itself, and all of us being in the throes of it, I would say that the faster we learn, those players who incorporate these learnings for themselves will navigate through this crisis. Teachers who want to be on this pathway to education for sustainable development, who want to look at how people learn, who want to use some of the resources, who want to create a just world, will be able to navigate through this crisis. And I'm sure this crisis will help us, has already helped us come together across boundaries. We're learning globally. We've all become part of this global citizenship. I'm learning too. I'm doing so many courses online, so many teachings online. And we've suddenly realized that we're not just India. we are this people on this planet. So it is an opportunity for the education sector to unite, to forge connections across countries, and truly share what works in a global way. So teachers, I will encourage you to look at some of the learnings that are happening, how schools are going back to nature, how schools are encouraging children to grow, cook, and explore. These are some of the things that schools are, across the country are doing. Can we not do it? Can we not go back to nature? Can we not go into nature if possible? Hopefully, when the school reopens, or even when, or even as a side activity. And if we don't innovate, and if we don't transform our lifestyles, and we would have missed a huge opportunity to create a just world and be a reduce your global footprint and be this erudite global citizen. The planet is in our hands, truly. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. So this was Lima, ma'am. Uh, I will request to kindly mute yourself always, and if possible, kindly switch on your cameras so that we can know that you are here. Uh, now, I will like to uh, request our next panelist, our next resource person, Radhika ma'am from WWF, uh, to present her, to start her session.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Vasanti, for having me here. Um, I usually love not missing an opportunity to talk to teachers. Um, I hope my colleague Sulagna has the, okay, she's able to share my presentation. Great. Um, so before I begin, we are going to have a little bit of interaction, and I need you to have your phones handy. So which I don't see a big problem. Usually we say, please keep your phones away, but yes, we're going to say we will need your phones at least 2 times. So keep them handy as we begin. And um, so today I'm going to be speaking to you on how we can build conservation leadership through education in the post-COVID era. And I don't feel I have all the answers. And I definitely feel this is a discussion, and this is something that you also need to think about. So definitely I will be triggering some thoughts and conversations, but I do feel teachers, you are empowered, and you too should be thinking on your feet. And that's what we're going to be doing through this session. I will be telling you a little bit about my organization, what we do, and let me just begin from there. So as I've been introduced as director and all of that, which is nice, but I want you to first know real Radhika, because I think so it matters. And I have a little ant story for you. So when I was a little girl, my father used to, I mean, it's quite a horrendous thing. He used to wake me up at 4 in the morning, okay, because he loved nature. And he used to love that, I go out with him for a morning walk. Imagine on school days, okay. But he did it. He did it year on year on year, okay. And of course, once I was out there, I used to have lots of fun with him. And then I lived in a place, Goa, which, had a lot of rain. So when the monsoons came, I was like, yeah, 4 months, no morning walks. And again, he woke me up with this huge umbrella, and he took me out and he says, Radhika, look at the ants. What happens to the ants in the monsoons? And we used to just sit and observe this for hours and hours together. So when I joined WWF, I didn't even know. So unlike Lima, who is, a science person and immersed in all of this. I am just a person who loves nature, and a father who immersed me in nature makes me work for this cause. So that's one thing you need to know about me, that I love nature and will go to any length to preserve it. And the second thing, I've been a teacher like you, just like you. For 15 years, I've stood in front of the in a classroom with children. So I know how tough this profession is and how difficult it is. And it's so easy for us today to give you ideas, which is important. I mean, it's not that we shouldn't be sharing these ideas, but I also know that you have limited time, you have lots happening, lots of challenges, and now we have this, new COVID crisis where teaching is getting more and more complex. So just these two things you should know. Moving on. About today's thing, I'll begin with a little, hearing a little bit from you. So get your phones ready. You need to go to a link called www.menti.com and type this code number. Okay, my colleague Sulagna will also share the link over here. I want you to kind of put in, what do you think we should be focusing on when we teach children post COVID? So, what should we be thinking about? So I want you to kind of share, what are your thoughts? Yes, syllabuses have to be finished. We have to, see how we can make up. We are also talking about cutting the syllabus, but I want to just you to open your minds and share, what is the focus of what we should be teaching children, what are the values we should be teaching children, what should be the subjects we should be teaching children. So I just want you to share over here. So I hope you all are all able to join this, and look forward to getting some words here. So I hope
So Radhika ji, how to go? Like they will go to
No, yes,
Yes. So
just
www.menti.com.
Google. Yeah, just go to menti.com. They'll ask you for a code. You press
Okay.
this code 6873429, and here you'll start getting words. Okay, save environment. Okay, excellent.
I will request all the participants to please participate in
Yes,
this.
please participate. And if anybody is finding it very hard, you can always type into the chat box. But I love to hear from all of you, because there is a reality. While we may want environment, there's a reality of, why can't, I have to teach English, I have to teach math. But it's just good to kind of share what you think. Okay. Nature, ecology, environment, sustainability, harmony with nature, compassion. That's such a beautiful word that's come in. Peace with nature. Okay. Empathy, we have. Fantastic. Okay. Socio emotional learning. Once we put up a poll on LinkedIn, and, we put empathy as one of the important things that need to be taught, and, nobody voted for empathy. So my colleague and I had a real, we were very heartbroken that a pandemic is not teaching us that we have to have compassion, we have to have empathy. So these are fantastic. Minimalistic. I think Lima also touched upon that, we consume endlessly. Fantastic. Great.
Radhika ji, you are saying the peace of mind is also coming in a big way.
Yes, yes, and that's why our next speaker is talking about mental well-being.
Yes.
So this is fantastic, because we've gone on a path where we have said, you need to acquire a big house, a big car, and everything, and that's equal to success. But
Yeah.
today we are at a point. So however painful this point is today, because I think so everybody has suffered this pandemic.
Yeah.
The point is, it is a moment of transformation, and education and educators have to think differently. So I think so these are fantastic things, and good to hear from all of you. So yes, moving on to my next slide, is that we definitely need to rethink. There is no way that we can do business as usual. So the need to rethink is very, very important. And I think so. I got all the possible, words that you shared over there. Um, but there is also another area that I would like to touch about what are the skills we need to give children. So, and of course, we need to build empathy, compassion, adaptability, but we also need them to have the ability to think. Again, Lima also touched on this, but our lives are moving in such a fast pace, and things will change so fast that we cannot not have the ability to think critically, to solve problems, and communicate and become very aware. Yes, 21st century skills that we talk about, but then we have this huge syllabus that we have to finish. So how does a teacher actually work towards solving all this? So great. So I think so we are all on the same page and agree that it is time we start rethinking what we are teaching our children. And definitely children need different skills. They don't need cramming of just subjects. They need to move to something else. Great. So now moving on, I am going to tell you a little bit about my organization in case you do not know. So WWF has been in existence since 1961. It's nearly 60 years old. In India, it started in 1969. So we are 51 years old. We are present across 100 countries, and in India, in 13 locations, we work purely on education. Our mission is that humans must live in harmony. So we are not anti-development, but we do believe we should live in harmony with nature. We are a science-based research organization. So Lagna, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, and the next. Okay, and in 1969, we started a movement called the Nature Clubs of India, which was connecting children with nature. This ran for over 30 years, and I think Lima would be very, very aware of this. And may have, Lima, were you a part of this too? No?
Absolutely, Radhika. That's where we all learned our ABCs about environment, remember?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Lima will agree with me that if you love nature, what my father did with me, he made me fall in love with nature. He made me understand that an ant, the hero in my life is an ant. It is not a tiger or anything big, it's an ant. Okay, so how we need to coexist with nature, and that's what WWF's environment education program did work over the years. And currently we are across India, as I said. We look at, of course, informing, because I think so knowledge is very important. And here I would like to also mention that our education system, and we should be very proud of, though we keep talking about errors in our education system, but globally no country mandated environment education. So as we go into schools, you will see the knowledge is very high. They have not been empowered with skills to take action, but they definitely have a lot of knowledge. So it is for us as education community to take the next steps and move towards skilling them more and taking more action. And we have multiple programs that we work across the country. And as I said to you in the beginning, we are a science-based organization. So every year, like we know that these are the problems in nature and all of that. So we come up with something called the Living Planet report. This report comes out every 2 years, and it tells us what is how is the environment doing. And this came out last year in September, October. And I will share with you what it's saying and why we really, really need to roll this out in action very quickly. So Lagna, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So what we know is that the nature is declining at a very, strong rate. And Currently, we have lost our wildlife population has declined by 68%. We have also realized that we are the cause. Something that Lima also touched about was that we want to shop, we want to buy, we want to get excess. So we are a very big cause because a lot of the forest land is being used for agriculture. And the sad thing is that 1/3 of all the food that is produced, it gets lost in wastage. And currently, we are in a status where we need nature, we need water, we need these resources, and it is impacting our health. And therefore, it is absolutely critical that we can restore nature. And we have to be the solution. We have to relook at the way we lead our lives. Sulagna, can I have the next slide? So here you see, this is how we are at this rate declining. So somebody would say the pandemic is such a sad thing that's happening, but it is in some ways pushing us personally, pushing governments to act and saying that, think, what kind of a world do we want? And we as educators have to have this strength to teach children this, that if we want a safe and flourishing planet and a world for our children, we need to move into the stage of recovery. And while we are declining, there is a huge target where we can stabilize, and there is still a huge chance that we can recover. And education, therefore, plays a very, very important role. Now I'll have a short video for you on the same report. Yes, and I'm a teacher, so I love talking like all of you. So I'll take a little break and you can watch this short video. So over to you, Sulagna.
Yeah, let me know if you can hear the sound.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
People can do amazing things. We can use sunbeams to help us travel. We can catch the wind and have it cook our food. Humans could be the smartest creatures that have ever lived on the planet. But because we're human, we can also do stupid things sometimes. When it comes to our relationship with our planet, which provides us with our food, air, and water, we have to admit humans, on the whole, haven't done a great job. To be blunt, we're destroying the natural world that supports us. We know this because we've collected evidence all around the world for years, working with wildlife scientists and researchers using all kinds of monitoring methods. And we've written it all down in here, our Living Planet report. You could think of it as a health check for the planet and a prescription for how to help it recover. We write these reports every couple of years, and the results get more terrifying every time. Here's the shocking new headline from the 2020 report. Since 1970, in just 5 decades, our planet's wildlife populations have plummeted by around 68% in size, which means there's far fewer of many amphibians, reptiles, fish, birds, and mammals. And 68% is just an average. If you look at freshwater creatures, their population sizes have gone down by around 84%. Not surprising, since up to 90% of the world's wetlands have been lost in the past 3 centuries. And when we say lost, what we really mean, more often than not, is destroyed. And if we're honest, people have been central to that destruction. Not intentionally, in most cases, but just by us not thinking about the consequences of our everyday actions. The things we eat, the things we buy, the choices we make. And by big companies who can profit before the planet, exploiting our natural world to get rich quick. And by governments who don't pass strong enough laws to stop it happening. Too many people have been carrying on like nothing is wrong, ignoring the alarm signals the planet has been sending us for years. Ice sheets melting, forests burning, seas rising, extreme weather. Our Living Planet report makes it clear that disaster is not inevitable. We can turn things around. But we need to shout louder about how serious things are. The good news is we can all play a part in helping to fix it. The first thing we need to think about is food and the way it's produced, as this is one of the biggest causes of habitat loss and destruction. We can make a lot more space for nature just by changing how land is used and what we choose to eat. Switching to a planet-friendly, more plant-based diet is the biggest single step forward we can all take. Growing plant crops uses far less land and ends up with far fewer greenhouse gases than producing meat, so we get delicious food and free up space for nature. The climate change emergency affects wildlife as well as people. We can all help cut down greenhouse gas emissions by switching to 100% renewable energy sources, like wind, solar, and wave power, for our homes, workplaces, and transport. And we need to focus on what are called nature-based solutions, where we work with nature rather than against it. A great example of this is planting trees in urban environments to help improve air quality, capture carbon, and support our personal well-being. You can also help us to put pressure on politicians to pass better, stronger nature laws to make sure essential changes happen fast enough and will stick. As the world rebuilds from coronavirus, we need to invest in nature. Economic recovery without protecting the planet isn't a recovery at all. As our Living Planet report points out, the world needs to change direction, fast. We've got to bend that downward curve back up. We can reset our relationship with the natural world by putting nature at the heart of all our decisions. Working together, it's absolutely fixable. It's going to take all our ingenuity and energy, but if we pull it off, it will be the greatest human achievement ever.
Hello. Yes. Sulagna, can I have the next slide? Okay, so everybody, while I think so, it's very important to understand the reality, and we already know that. But what we really need to know is that there is time, there is a potential for immediate action, and teachers are going to play a very strong role, and it cannot be business as usual. And we have had a very big reckoning with the pandemic, where all of us are now thinking and understanding this and are looking at it differently. So I'll come to my last part of my session, where I want to discuss with you, what do you think, uh, how can we make conservation leaders in our schools? How can we make children have these 21st century skills like problem solving, critical thinking, creativity? So go to this link that Sulagna has given, Padlet, and add your comments over there, because I don't think so. I can tell you this alone. It'll be great to hear what you have to say, and then we can kind of discuss it. So everybody, please go to padlet.com, which Sulagna has shared, and tell me, what do you think? How do you think we can build conservation leaders? What can you do differently in your classrooms? And I think so, this is why I'm not stating things here, is because I do feel you are the ones who are going to be implementing it. So it is extremely important that you share what you are thinking. So yeah, we'll give you some time. At the bottom, you will see there is a little pencil, a pink icon and a pencil. You can click it, and you needn't write your name. You can just put in whatever you want.
So I will request all the participants to kindly go to the link. The link is given in the chat box, and please mention there your comments about how to developing conservation leaders in your schools. All the participant teachers. And how much time, Radhika ma'am, you want to give them?
At least 5 minutes we can do.
Yes. So please go to the link which is given in the chat box, and please write your views on how to developing conservation leaders in your schools.
Okay. So develop sense of belongingness by involving them. Okay. Have environment education projects and more action and thinking. Okay. Okay. Okay, practice 5 hours by creating compassion for the environment. By conducting role plays, open debates, brainstorming session. Yes, I agree with you. The education system tends to be still very road based. It is very, very important to let children speak up. Um, explain organic waste. Okay. Okay, somebody says, firstly, ignite the nature lover within children. So yes, connecting with nature is a critical piece. Okay, 5 hours. Okay, this is a very interesting one. Developing the curriculum amalgamated with SDGs. Lima did speak about the SDGs too. It needs to be hands-on. We all know the benefits of experiential learning, and therefore these things have to be done. Children have to be allowed to dirty their hand. We don't have to tell them everything. Today's child, in fact, is so different. Today's child has knowledge at a click away, a Google away, and therefore the role of the teacher in the school really has changed. Okay, great. These are some lovely responses I have got. Schools can give students concepts and then develop how to save species, nature walks, critical thinking into their subjects. Okay, awesome. All right, so we can stop that for now. And I think so I have got your thinking skills, working. And do not doubt yourselves. You don't need experts like us to come in to tell you that. I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to believe, because you will have to find the solution. It's complex in a system where you have to teach so many things, a system that's used to doing things in a certain way. So it's going to be challenging. But yes, I think so. What I see over here in this group, there's great belief, and there's so many organizations coming together to give support. And therefore, it is absolutely possible that this can be put into the system. So the two, three things I would like to end my session with is one, when I was a teacher, I used to teach small children. And, you always, as a teacher, I thought my job was to tell, right? They didn't know anything. What does a 4-year-old know, right? Uh, and I remember we had annual day practices. And my principal used to always tell me that bring them for practice and your class is too noisy. Ensure they sit quietly. And I used to make them sit quietly for 2 hours. How did I do that? By looking at them like that and say, keep quiet, finger on your lips. Imagine, can any of us sit quietly for 2 hours? That's not possible. But I asked them to do the impossible. And I remember when I came back, I had this very, talkative child, and he was very open. Agastya came to me and says, Radhika miss, we can't do this, and they also said that, Radhika miss, you're not as nice as you are because you keep looking at us like that. But Radhika miss was stuck because the principal needed silence. So we started thinking of solutions. Okay. And what solution my children and I came up with was that we could take blocks, we could take storybooks, to the place where the practice was happening so they could stay busy. They promised not to talk, but they continued to play and read. So a beautiful solution came by with 4-year-olds and me. So what I want to leave you with the thought is that children have immense potential. Believe in them, respect them, and you need to just guide them into this area. So these skills that we're talking about, problem solving, critical thinking, creative, all of us can. These skills can be learned, these skills can be done, but we have to just understand and roll it out into the system. And one very, very big thing that we have to do is let them speak up, let them share, let them think. So the most important thing as we move forward in our education system is to let children develop these leadership, these thinking skills. And I end with a quote, which is now becoming my favorite, which is children learn how to make good decisions by making decisions and not by following directions. So it is absolutely critical that we create this ambience in our classrooms where they can think and do things. So thank you so much for having me here, Vasanthi. And I hope I have been able to contribute well. So thank you and lovely meeting each one of you. Good luck.
Uh, Thank you, ma'am. Before you leave, we had a few questions for you. Uh, so, one thing I want to ask you, ma'am, the the environmental education programs which WWF running, which you are heading, I know that few of the our participants must have joined that environmental education program of yours. But if the rest of the participant which are here, if they want to join, what they should do and what they should expect, that what they are getting from that course.
Okay. So we have. I didn't spend too much about our work in that when I was talking, but we have various kinds of environment education program. Of course, they all lead to knowledge going up. It also leads to children thinking much more. And so we do have programs for different levels and different kinds of program. Like we have a quiz called the Wild Wisdom Quiz, which has become a global challenge now. So what they can do is, Sulagna can maybe put the link of our website. They can always go to that website. We have an email ID and everybody is free to connect with us. And we are prompt at connecting. And Sulagna can also leave her email ID here. So they can connect with us. But we have different programs. So there's some on plastic, there are quizzes. There's also a program, which we call One Earth, One Home. So it's a challenge in which you can make your homes green, but they all center around making children think and take ownership.
So,
Yes.
ma'am, these are the programs which are, focusing or everything towards secondary or the small students, like up to class 6 or 7. What?
No, no. So it's between class 1 and 12. All the
Okay.
programs vary in different, yeah. So there's different. And we also have a youth vertical called People for Planet, and also citizens can be part of it. And teacher education is something we are also working a lot in this space. But I do feel teachers, it can't be a one-sided thing. It has to be a partnerships. I think so teachers are the ones standing and sitting in the classroom. And according to me, teaching is pretty complex. You have every child with a different learning style out there. So yeah, but definitely we have a lot of resources teachers can use. We have a digital portal called One Planet Academy. In fact, over there we have some CMS films over there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So you can also reach out over there and pick up these resources. They're all out there for consumption.
As ma'am, you were saying that it has been it has to be a two-way connection. Same here. The this session needs to be a two-way thing. So I will request the participants, the teachers, if they want to ask anything from Radhika ma'am, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask any question or query you have. And Lima ma'am, are you there? Do you have some question for Radhika ma'am?
Uh, Sabya, shouldn't we do the other and then open the floor for questions? What do you think?
Okay. So Radhika ma'am, I will request you to be with us because after Sasha's session, we will have
Okay.
a question answer session with all the three participants.
Okay.
No,
Thank you
no.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Yeah.
So now I will request Shasha to uh, come and present her session. Um, Sasha, are you there?
Sure. Yes, I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I would request everyone or whoever can actually switch on their videos because it genuinely makes me feel connected. So it's just like when, in the classrooms also, when we are trying to take a session, and especially with the online setup, and if we don't see our students, it becomes less connective. So I just wanted to see if, some of you can probably join. That's
Yeah.
so great to see a few of you have actually switched on your videos. Hi everyone, how are you? I can see Miss Sadhna, Dr. Sanjali, Miss Richa, Miss Mukta. I can see all of them. It's so good to see you all. Very, very good morning to all of you. So before we start, because the session has been going on and there were some very, very informative conversations that happened that we learned from the experts in the field. So before we start, I want, if it is possible, to just, maybe stretch a bit because we have been sitting, getting at the screen. So maybe just, a little bit, maybe a little bit of rotation of the neck. Yeah, very well. Yeah, just something like this. It will be so much better.
In the meantime, I will request, if possible, please switch on your cameras. Switch on
Yeah,
your, yeah, please. That will be.
yeah, because
Uh,
this is something which is totally fun. I
Saurabh
think that's what we
Saurabh
should
ji,
be.
Neeru Bhushan, Neeti Bharadwaj, Chabi Chaudhary, Divya, Ruchi Yadav, Sohani Basak, Anita Bisht, Ispita Dutt,
Thank you so
and
much.
Sharma. Please
Yes.
switch on your mics, please. Sorry, switch on your cameras and
All
please
right.
mute your mic.
And just one more thing, I hope that there is this one extra request that I'm going to make, and you're going to say that why is she asking so many things, but I have to. So I want you to have either a glass of water with you or a water bottle, whatever is, next to you. I
Yeah.
have this glass. I think you should keep it. It's always handy, and water is really important. So let's just keep that. I hope everybody has got something with them. Oh, great. Awesome. Well done. All right.
Water
So
bottle.
now, without further ado, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so my first PPT, some of you might be thinking that is she starting from the end? But genuinely, I'm not starting from the end. The whole point is that I really want to thank you all, like from the bottom of my heart, because if it wasn't for you, the future of our country would have been at stake, and that's a fact. And I think that is something that everybody should acknowledge. And it's not just to say, like, just for the sake of it. I think it really takes a lot of effort to deliver every day relentlessly that you all do, and that is like commendable, and I think that's amazing that you guys do. Of course, some of you must be thinking that, yeah, sure, tell this to our ignorant students, or our TL or principal or the management, whoever. Trust me, been there, done that. I have felt that very closely, and I understand that. But the whole idea of this workshop was that yes, there are a lot of struggles because of the pandemic, like we are struggling, and we have, and one thing that we are all juggling with is time. And we all are talking about how can we make the lives and the learning of the future better. But I think we need to take a pause, and we need to actually think about ourselves as well sometimes. So this workshop specifically is, I'm not going to take your time to think about how you're going to go about your students. I think you know much better than me. I don't really need to tell you that. Of course, we share some sort of a community. I have also taught, so I feel yes, I do might have shared some struggles, but I think you know the best about your students. The only thing about this workshop is you, and that's it. So do not think that we are making any notes for your students. It's just you. So let me just get started. We're gonna start with an activity. So I hope I can see that some of you already have pen and pencil with you and all. What I want you to do is just make a divider like this, where you write pre-pandemic and during pandemic on the right side. That's it. And I mean, even if you don't have anything like, a pen or pencil, you can even make it digital notes. It's not a big deal. It's just something very straightforward. Should I go ahead? All in?
Give them a
Ready?
minute time.
All right. Thank you and I would really appreciate these thumbs up, because they actually make me feel that, yeah, you're listening and you're not getting, bored, because that's very important for me. So that's it. Moving on. Uh, so there are these few of the issues. See, this is what I was looking for. Somebody is there to cheer up. All right. So there's this list of issues that I've put in front of you. All you have to do is number them in whichever category you feel. Also, you can number them if you think that second is something which is happening even pre-pandemic and during the pandemic. You can write both the sides. It is not a problem. So all you have to do is put the numbers of the following issues under the two headings.
Kindly put the numbers of the following issues, which is given here by Sasha, under the two subheadings.
And those of you who are not have their videos on, they can just probably use the thumbs up button in the chat box, or something like that, which kind of gives me an idea that you've done the activity. It will be really appreciated.
Yeah, I will request all the participants either to switch on their videos or either give a thumbs up, so that we can know that you are there participating in the work, in the task, and in the session. Seema Kurana ji, screen sharing is okay. It's working perfectly fine. I will request all the participants to let us know that they are participating by thumbs up or uh, by their video on.
Thank you, Nidhi. I think you've done the task, which is great. I have understood that. Thanks for the thumbs up.
Sangeeta ji has done, Anita Best, Bhavna Bharadwaj. Thanks, that's great. Astha Sachar.
Let's take a minute and then move on.
Yeah. Kiran Sharma saying done, great.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to share something. And so what the research has been going on in the field, and there's a lot of research especially happening during the pandemic. And sadly, what has been found is that a lot of them were pre-pandemic as well, and not just during the pandemic. And yes, there have been additions during the pandemic, which is like no time for self-care, facing challenges in delivering education digitally, especially overloads of emails and documentation, which has become like an everyday part and lifestyle these days, lacking the necessary devices to deliver education digitally. But yeah, but if you see, most of these things were there before pandemic and during the pandemic. What do you think that, like, what does this show basically? What, like anything that you'd like to suggest, anybody who would like to say something, you can just unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
I would like to share.
Sure.
Okay, this is basically, we cannot blame anybody because nobody was prepared for this pandemic. So nobody saw this. We can't blame the institutions. We can't blame the students, the teachers, the parents. But the only thing which we need to learn is that, otherwise we are all told to slow down, stay in your houses, be at home. But I don't know why this education system Even though the CBSE was cutting the syllabus, everything, nothing was slowing down. It was a mad rush. This is what I felt. There was so much to learn for teachers. We were so new to the system and everything, but still, it was like we were like machines.
Absolutely.
Today, Zoom, tomorrow, MS Teams, third day, today, right now, just before this, we were having a meeting for EduNext. So, like for children, we give them so much time, absorb, learn. So I think for we teachers, the space is not there. So maybe because of that, because I could relate to most of your things and I really have it and I want to just, jot down somewhere. These are very good points because we really don't sit down and think about that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have said, like, you've made such a valid point. And the great part is that, this is the only thing, reflection. We talk so much about reflection, we talk so much about experiential learning, but are we actually looking at the experience ourselves? And it is very important, like, it has been mentioned so many times that it has to be both ways. And I think that's very true. Anybody else? Like, thank you so much for the feedback. Anybody else who would like to add?
Yeah, kindly feel free to, express your ideas as Radhika ji has shared.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And
one thing I want to share, it's Reena Datta from East Point School. We are, as teachers, made ourselves prepared for the pandemic and doing our tasks, whatever is told. But the parents are not prepared for that. So that is coming on them very badly. They were not in the habit of doing that. Some of them are really very busy and some of them are not trained to do so. So, and that's all, it's all coming on the children. So that worries me a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ms. Reena. It makes sense. And so, this is the quality of a teacher, which I have seen. They have so much of compassion, and there is this syndrome also, compassion syndrome with them, that eventually they will think about their children and their students, and they will forget about themselves. And this is why,
something, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. This is Meena Rakhi. I'm PGT Social Science in Venkateshwar International School, Sector 10, Dwarka. And we have been connected with CMS Vatavaran for past more than 5 to 6 years. So first of all, I would like to share my views that whatever the CMS is working, and especially this workshop, it is very, very innovative and it is very good, ma'am. I would like to congratulate to all of you, ma'am, for the wonderful sessions that you're having. And one thing I would like to add on that, during the pandemic period, even we teachers have become tech savvy.
Wow.
Earlier, as a social science teacher, I was not comfortable with the computers, not much. All right. But after getting a lot of trainings from Microsoft, and we have started using different resources, like पहले तो Zoom use करना ही नहीं आता था, ma'am, and now we are
sure.
very comfortable with it. So
I think that's a
has,
positive way to look at it.
Of course, pandemic has taught us many things in a positive way also.
Right, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's something that's
and
great.
one thing I also would like to add on, that earlier parents used to keep everything on the teacher's shoulder. कि school में क्या हो रहा है, ma'am क्या पढ़ा रही है, you're not completing your work. Now parents are facing the same problem. Now they are understanding and realizing the fact that we teachers are working so hard, and now they are appreciating us.
Right, has brought some empathy in them, which is so great, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I must say that this is such a great positive way to look at it, and these are things I think which makes us more compassionate and maybe more accepting towards whatever the situations that we are going through, because it needs a like I think Mr. Radhika had mentioned, there is so many different things are happening. So it is something called agility, that we are facing with so many things on instantly. Like, you might be faced with so many challenges that you're not even aware of, and they're new to you, and you have to just hustle. And that, I think that's what the term should be for most of the teachers, that they are hustlers. They are multitasking all the time, although they were doing pre-pandemic as well. However, the focus is that I have been, for some time, I've been working and trying to understand that what goes in the mental health towards at the workplace. We talk about mental health in general, and which is very important and good thing in a positive way. I would say a lot of people are acknowledging it, but are we really acknowledging mental health at work? We are trying to be it any business, be it being in the education industry or in environment, in any industry where you are trying to cater and solve a problem of, of people out there. You're trying to make life easier for others, but are we also kind of reflecting and looking at ourselves and our people? And that's what the whole objective, I think, that I wanted to set here. And like, that's why I said that this workshop is for you and about your mental health, and that's what we're going to take it forward. Moving on, so these are some pre-pandemic statistics. So if you see, 42% of employees in the private sector of corporate India suffers from depression or anxiety. They do. So, and which is very, very staggering, and it is always increasing. Then research suggests that out of 1.1 million companies, which can include all the industry together, only 1,000 companies are estimated to have structured employee assessment program for mental health in India, which is also a thing. The thing is, we don't acknowledge it because half of us, we don't even think that it is something that we are entitled to have. That's the thing. So recently I read this very interesting statement somewhere mentioned, you should rest because you shouldn't be wanting to rest because you think you deserve to rest. You just rest because you rest. That's it. Don't think that, oh, today I have done something great, so I should be resting. And I think that is something which has become more of a everyday notion in our head. So yeah, that's there. And the another part of the research is, which is confirmed, that 91% of employees should they believe that their employers should care about their emotional health. So it's not that employees are not aware of it. We can't keep on using that tactic that, you know what, people don't complain, people don't have, they haven't really mentioned their concern. The thing is, research shows they do share their concern and they do have a problem with it. It's just that it's up to us how, like, the employers who are, I don't know if they are looking at it or they are trying. Like, well, there are a lot of stakeholders which are involved here, and we have to see how can we go forward from there. So, and this thing is that that was the whole statistics that I showed you was pre-pandemic. And even post-pandemic, if you see any stats, which is I've taken just specific to teachers, which is that 84% of them are struggling with the challenges of digital and online teaching, impacting directly to their mental well-being. So this is the thing, it hasn't really changed. So there is something that has to change. This kind of gives us that heads up that yes, definitely there has to be something that we have to do. So moving on from there, do I want to discuss who's responsible, how to go, what are the things, what are the issues, why it is happening? I don't think that you have that much of time, and that's not the point of this workshop. All we can look forward is that, okay, these are the problems, how do we solve it? That's the only way as individuals we can take care of it. Of course the system will change. There are a lot of people who are involved in the industry who are trying to work relentlessly to bring the change, but it's a small step. So what can we do at our level to manage our mental well-being? And let's start that from understanding what is mental well-being, because half of the people think it's just a mental disorder or some delusion, but it's not just that. So according to WHO, I'm going to use the same lines because it's something very specific. Mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential. So you need to, mental well-being is not just disorders. It is where you actually realize your own potential. You can cope with the normal stress of life. And how you perceive at things is also something that matters. It can work productively and fruitfully, and you are able to make contribution to your own community, and that's what accounts mental well-being. It's not just a disorder, it's not just being able to not cope with in everything. It could be even slightest of thing, and that's what your mental well-being is according to WHO. Moving on, what are the signs and symptoms that suggest that your mental health is not optimum? And I want you to take a minute or two and just see if you think that you are somewhere not being able to feel optimal with your mental state.
So, Sasha, I have a question like
Yeah.
the things which are mentioned here, like feeling irritation, anger, or in denial, or feeling uncertain, nervous, or lacking motivation. So, don't you think one or two points can be found in each and every person? Like, so I am also sometimes really feeling very irritating or angry without any reason, or certainty about the future, what will happen, all these things. So, doesn't these points sometimes it comes to
Very good
every.
question. I think it's a very good point. The thing is that we have normalized stress so much. We have normalized everything like around mental, like, being irritated, being angry. Of course, there are certain emotions that, but there has to be a reasonable reason to it. Like you mentioned, sometimes without reason you feel it. Okay. And that is the thing. That is the thing that we have to point out. We have to normalize mental health. We don't have to normalize stress. And that's what we have been doing for years. We normalize, oh, it's all right to feel exhausted, oh, it's all right to feel, tired and not wanting to work, because that's not what we should be telling. We can't tell that to anybody. But that's something that we have to remove, and the focus should be normalizing mental health. I think it should be better if, if I can go and say that, what, I am to any employer or to anybody that, my colleague, that I am not feeling, very um, comfortable today, and I feel anxious, overly anxious today, and I don't think that I will be able to work today, so I would want to take a leave that I am entitled to have. I shouldn't be asking for the leave that I'm entitled to have by saying, what, something really terrible happened at my home, or there was some function. That shouldn't be the case,
Radhi-
but that's what happens. Yeah.
Radhika Goenka is saying, I am in all the points. Rita
ये
Chauhan
वाला
is saying,
फोन नहीं
I
चल
agree.
रहा.
Uh, and then Renu is saying, I agree with all the points. Richa is saying, all the points.
All right. So
And then,
when you say you agree with all the points, do you mean that you think that you face all the points, or you think that they
yeah,
do exist? I would
I
like to know
think
that.
they mean that.
All right. So I will. Anyway, so these are some of the signs and symptoms that you should look for, and when you feel these things, do not ignore them just because you think that ये तो चलता है. No, it's not going to be like that. You are your own. If you really want to make change, and like, a lot of people mention that you can't just, show the finger to the other person to solve the problem for you. Let's take the step towards that, and that's where we are going to move forward from here. So yes, these are the signs, but what are the strategies that we can use to cope with these? I want you to take 2 minutes and write whatever comes to your mind that you use as a coping strategy to whatever, symptoms or stress or anything that you face in your day-to-day life, especially at your work. Take 2 minutes, write whatever comes to your mind.
Are you able to see what people are writing, Shasha?
Yeah, I'm just going on to the chat. Oh, lovely.
Jayashree is saying, organized and hand operation. It all starts with
Organize,
acceptance.
gardening, binge watching comedy shows, yes. Yoga, wonderful. A holiday from work, meditation, or trying meditation. Oh my god, everybody has so many things, and I see meditation to be very common here. Wow, wonderful.
And it gives,
Absolutely, Goenka, you're right. Do not follow monotonous lifestyle. Yes, you were saying?
yeah, so it gives a opportunity to look like these things are so much common, like most of us are facing these kind of problems. That's why everyone is trying to come up with a tool to get out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that it has been found that escapism is not the solution. You can't escape it. You can't say, okay, fine, let me distract myself and I would feel better. You have to face it, and if you have to face it, might as well do it in a, more productive and fruitful manner. So that's what I think we should
uh,
be
uh,
looking forward to.
I really want to accept that sometimes if these things comes, I really go to escapism. I just on my projector and start watching some TV. serial
Sure.
so that I could not able to think about the problem. Or yes.
Yes, that happens a lot. All right. Very, very good answers. Kiranji has mentioned we are trying to spend me time. Wow, but it's still not the solution. All right, so we will talk about me time and why is it not an optimal solution. Exercise and meditation, wonderful. Spending time with family, absolutely, very important. Oh, carom board, which is a great thing to do. I think that reduces, yes, absolutely, you're right. Right. Wonderful. Listening to music, yes. Even the research has suggested music helps a lot to, reduce the stress levels. And there's music therapy for that. So, yeah, great reading books. Wonderful. So, I think that everybody is participating, which kind of makes me feel very happy. And I'm smiling. And I think all of you should smile because I think your body interacts with your mind. And always remember that. So, sometimes when you really are feeling terrible about something, and I know this would sound a little off, but as even in yoga it has been like they make you laugh, they ask you to just laugh without even feel like laughing. So maybe sometimes just give a smile, and after smiling for a little bit of time you automatically feel okay, fine, I'm smiling, and then you'll feel better. So it's just a kind of a tip, quick tip. But let's move on to the coping strategies now. All right, so we'll start with the coping strategies now. And the first thing is setting boundaries. This is something which, in a collectivistic culture like India, where we live, is not very common. And a lot of us do not exactly understand how to go about boundaries. So, very simple line for boundaries to explain boundaries would be: it is okay to say no, and genuinely it's okay to say no. Yes, we all know that these times are uncertain. We some of most of us, I think, are the breadwinners for our families, and obviously but don't think this way that if I will say no, that would indicate and that will lead to decline your position, or your like your job for that matter. It is not true. Rather, research has shown there's a lot of benefit when you set boundaries. Like, it gives you much more respect. It kind of helps you to maintain that standard behavior, both with your students as well as with your you know colleagues and your management. It also gives enables good communication, and let's face it, communication is something that is very, very important for the smooth functioning of any system. And it also manages expectations. Trust me, if tomorrow or today onwards you'll take one step to actually set a boundary, and just to understand that I'll tell you how we go about these boundaries also, because it is easy to say and then actually doing it, but they do are beneficial. So how do we set these boundaries? What could be the ways to do them? um, so first of all, most important thing is you need to figure out where limits need to be set and define what needs to be changed. First, you need to reflect, and that's very important. Yes, we don't have time. Just take out 5 minutes. Whatever has happened, I'll take an example. Something happened in your organization, and while you were working, and especially during a colleague meeting or something like that, and you felt really bad about something. Figure out, what exactly happened. Was it something off limit from the other party? And if it is not comfortable, or if you're having any of these three emotions like guilt, resentment, or anger, just just try to reflect. If you actually face them, there is no harm setting the limits. You can always tell the person, um, I really respect you, but I don't feel very comfortable when you talk like this, and it kind of doesn't make me feel I would say it reduces my productivity or something. And don't think the person will say, "Ah, you are weak," or the person will think you're weak. It is okay. It is their problem. You are not weak. You need to remember, you're not weak. You are actually managing whatever number from 15 to 45 number of students. That's a big deal. That's a lot of work that you do anyway. So you don't need to validate yourself from outside to set something so basic as a limit of what is okay with you and what is not. And same goes with your timing also. You because timing has always been a challenge, and it has become so much now, especially when we are in the time where after working in the school, after the school timing. I mean, there is nothing like, I've seen that a lot of colleagues, ex-colleagues of mine, who struggle with the time management, especially when they're working from home. First they finish their office hours or their school hours, and after that, earlier also they used to spend some time to do the work, but now it is way more because most of the communication is happening. There is no way to enable that process. So it's okay, you can, I will actually tell you in the next segment what are the ways to cope with that also. So um, are you guys following me so far? Just give me a thumbs up or something so that I feel. And again, the videos are off. I think this is something I need, that validation maybe that you are here and with me. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Richa. Thank you. Thank you. Now everybody's again video is on. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So now moving on to after setting the boundaries, try that. Actually, it helps. Uh, Next thing is going to be this, which was I think Miss Kiran was saying that it really doesn't work that well, and is it really a solution or not? We're going to discuss that. But make some time for yourself, and this me time. The definition is also something very important to understand, and what are the myths around it. So first of all, this me time is that time that you spend only with yourself, not with your family members, not with even anybody you like or somebody. It's just with yourself. That's the first thing. Second thing, me time doesn't mean luxury. It doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of time, you need to spend hours to self care. No, you spend just 10 minutes. That's more than sufficient. That's your me time. There are a lot of ways you can do it. You do what you like to do. There are so many things that people have mentioned: meditation, yoga, or gardening for that matter. It's not, I don't think that gardening, of course gardening can take as long as you want to spend, but sometimes, just going out and just doing a little bit of things around gardening will also help you to, spend that time with yourself. That's the point. Another way could be disconnect. So there is this like very interesting phrase that I read, which was make an unplugged schedule. You have to, and that's what I was talking in the setting boundaries segment, that when the emails are coming now, it has become more of a habit. The first thing that we do is check our emails. Something will be there, either something that will make me very happy or something that will ruin my day, and you are waiting for that. Why do we have to wait for those, uncertainty? Like, it has become more of a lifestyle choice. Do we need that? I mean, just step back now and just think to yourself, do we need a lifestyle which is, constantly you are just running? I mean, nobody would want that. You need a balance, right? And everybody cribs about the balance. Everybody says there's no work life balance, there is this and there is that, but I can't do it. There are so many, yes, there are thousands of reasons. And there are always going to be thousands of people because you are one person, and there's this entire 7 billion population which will be sending some or the other thing towards you. But it's your choice. And this is something I'm not telling you based on just, personal experience or some only few researchers, but it is coming, if it is coming from the people who were actually in the Holocaust. Now I hope a lot of people would have heard about Hitler, and if you are aware of Holocaust, the people, the Jewish community, they were actually tortured worse than animals. They were put in those, concentration camps. They were tortured, and there is this one line that, that I found from their testimonies where they mentioned, yes, our the people, they tortured us badly. The Nazi German people, they tortured us badly. But one thing that we realized, we had no freedom, we had nothing. They took us, they took everything, our sense of self, they didn't respect us, everything. But there was one thing that they couldn't take, and that was our freedom to react. And that's what you have. You don't have to react, you always have the freedom how to respond. And that's what you have to tell yourself every day. And that's a challenge we every time forget. We are so unconsciously involved in everyday processes that it becomes so difficult to take a step back. That a lot of people feel, oh, I need to go somewhere to feel that calm, peace. But actually, it can start from you. It just starts from you. That's the beauty of it. And we just don't realize it. So that's something that, another thing that I wanted to say about me time. So when you spend the time with yourself, try to understand and try to reflect what were those places where I reacted, and if I hadn't react, then if I
Ma'am,
hadn't
I would like
reacted.
to add something.
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
You're talking about reflection. The Jews, they do one thing when they celebrate their festivals. They inculcate this thing. They eat together, and they
Right.
eat bones. Like they cook bones, and they don't eat it with salt and pepper. They eat raw bones and
Right.
vegetables to to remind themselves कि हमने हमारे ancestors ने कितना atrocities झेली थी,
True.
to reflect about, like to reflect upon the bad things that happened, and now they're sitting here on a nice table with their families, you know, enjoying their freedom.
Yes, yes. So that can also be actually like I would rather say it's a very very interesting insight, and that can also be called as gratitude or being grateful. So they sit together and they actually, and it's something that is another thing that you can do. And the funny part is all the solutions are is among you all. You would know them, and people say, oh, this is something I already know, tell me something which is just magical. But the thing is, there's nothing like magic. It's about how much do you do that. Are you doing it on everyday basis? That is the magic. How much are you putting in? That's the magic. So and that's all the challenge is. I mean, because we are so used to medication model that there is some dawai we'll eat, and then once we have that medication, those symptoms are gone like this. That's not possible with human mind. That's why we are so capable of creating this biggest civilization that ever existed. So first of all, I want everyone, whoever is listening to me, understand this thing. You all are very special. You are humans, and that makes you that gives you a lot of edge. So acknowledge that. Take out some time for yourself and just acknowledge this fact and just look at those things that makes you human. Trust me, you'll feel very special about yourself, and you would feel better from everything that is happening around. So yeah, that's another thing. Moving on, the next coping strategy that can be there. Okay, so it's like something called evaluating your thoughts. So this is something for those situations where you were like, just I've had enough. I'm done with this society, or I'm done with this system. How are they not? They don't understand me and stuff like that. Or maybe what's the point of preparing? I know there will be something that happened, and I'll do something which will not go in my favor. All those negative thoughts. How do we evaluate that? So I've taken an example while I was preparing this presentation, and I just thought that possibly how can I evaluate my nervousness or my thoughts or whatever I do in my life in a general. So let's just look at that. So first thing is, so suppose I had to give this presentation, and for this presentation, first thing, there's a 3-step kind of a way, 3 very easy steps that you have to do for anything you do. First thing you will ask yourself is, what do I fear will happen? I'll make a mistake and everybody will notice. And yeah, there are a lot of people, about 93 of you. So everybody will notice. What if everybody spends their entire time on their phones because they are bored? And that is why I'm asking for validation constantly. Please be on the video with me. Please be with me. I think that's another thing. Also, what if, this is something, what if the ghost of all my old teachers, they gather around me and they say, we told you, you won't be able to do that. If there were some of them are very nice, but anyway, what if that happens? That is the first thought that I can evaluate. The second step I can do is, what do I hope will happen? What do I want to hope? Well, I hope to give a presentation that people will love, and they will even, applaud me at the end and mean it, and not just do it for the sake of it. That's something I hope. That's like the best case thing that I want for myself. And then the last thing to evaluate my thought would be, what do I expect will happen? Probably I will fumble, which I can obviously, and but most of the part will go smoothly. People will engage, some of them at least will engage, and that will be like a smooth ride. And that automatically reduce my anxiety. You would think, what is so big about it? But that's the point. I spent those 4 minutes to think about this, and it reduced those heart palpitations. It reduced those headaches that comes or whatever. Everybody has got different things for them, and that's how it helps you. So yeah, this is the another thing. So I'll just quickly go and just do one quick recap. um, First, you set the boundaries as we had discussed. You set some time, take some time out which is the me time. Be I didn't mention this thing, but this is really cool, that you need to be unapologetic. You are spending time for yourself, you are making a living for yourself. Yes, you're responsible for your children also, and not just in school but at your home, because some of you must be homemakers. Yes, you're responsible for your family, but you're responsible for yourself as well, and you have to remember that. Because most of the time we remember everything, we feel guilty for everything that we do in our everyday life, but we forget to treat ourselves first, and we don't treat that. So it's just a reminder, take care of yourself, very important. And then moving on, we discussed the way we can evaluate the 3 easy steps. What do I fear will happen, what do I hope will happen, and what do I expect will happen. Now, the this is the most trending thing. Everybody talks about it. So now I again want everybody to switch on their videos if they haven't, and those who were carrying their water bottle, because I had asked initially to have their water glass with them. Great. Miss Tata is already having the water. Great. So now what I want is that a lot of us think that mindful is something where I need to sit under a tree and just meditate and feel great, and it will take a lot of time, it needs a lot of patience, I'll have to take out so much time for it, blah 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 blah. But it's not true. Mindfulness is, I'm going to start one activity with you. Okay, so give me a second. Let me know if you can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound? Music? No?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. All right, so now what I want you to do is forget about this. I'll just stop sharing this for a while. And what I want you to do is take the glass of water that you have, and all you need to do is, while you're drinking it, try to just experience the water. Do not, I will not speak after this for 30-40 seconds. Just experience the water, because I'm going to ask you a lot of things from there. So just experience the water. All right, so I'll ask you to just breathe in, hold for some time, and breathe out. Breathe in, hold for some seconds, and breathe out. Maybe just close your eyes and just listen to the music. I didn't want to stop it abruptly, but I think now you can open your eyes and come back to the consciousness, the present moment. All right. So I want to ask you first part of it. How is your water? And I want now I'm going to nominate as well. I hope you'll feel comfortable. So, Miss Kiran, would you like to tell something? How is your feeling with water?
I felt a sweet taste in water.
Wonderful. Anything else that you observed about water while having it?
Can't say as such, but I was quite calm and I was just drinking water. No
Absolutely.
expectations and no feelings and nothing. It was just sweet water I drank. वो normal water नहीं था. Normal वो plain water, chilled भी नहीं था. But it
Right.
was sweet and chilled.
Amazing. Awesome. So that's like mindfulness just at present, and that's how it works. One example. Thank you so much. Richa ji, would you like to tell your experience? How was it to drink water?
I felt relaxed actually. Those sip of water which I took, I felt very relaxed, comfortable.
Okay, great. That was something I wanted to hear. Anybody else who would like to say something? How did they feel when they were drinking water? Any observation that they made? Anything?
Okay, I felt very soothing. And as you were saying, that unplugged thing, so for that, 10 seconds or 20 seconds, I could disconnect from this meeting and, just be in another world for just that 10-20 seconds.
Amazing. I'm so happy. I can't tell you to hear that. So that's exactly, what that's what mindfulness is. Where it is just about being in the moment. It's not about you sitting and meditating only. It can be as simple as you just, cooking. Some people really like cooking. When they cook, they are just in that moment and they're just thinking about what they're cooking, and that's what exactly is mindfulness, and that's what you have to practice on daily basis. It could be as simple as even looking at these pictures, like the slide that I'm sharing with you all right now. It could be looking at the colors, experiencing them. That is mindfulness. It
Uh,
could be looking at your
One
child's face
question,
and just
Sasha.
looking at that. Yes, please go ahead.
So how this mindfulness, because the teachers are busy in classes, is the mindfulness is going to help them to connect with the students and deliver the class much in a much better way?
Very good question. Absolutely. So it helps. The research has shown it's very simple. It's like a very simple logic. The more present you are, of course, you and more aware you are, more you will be able to observe around you. More you will be able to understand what's going around you, and that's how what is one of the biggest tasks is classroom management for any teacher. I think classroom management, as fancy and as easy it might sound, it is not. There is a lot of observation that you have to make, because like a lot of people have mentioned before, that children are, everybody is different. There are so many children, all of them are different. But how do you make that conscious, like how are you aware? So I think taking some time out for mindfulness on everyday basis makes you more aware, so that you can understand your students better, and so that you can understand yourself better and your surroundings better. So yes, if I were to answer directly to the first part, it will definitely help in the classroom management, as well as it will help in our everyday basis. And that's what I think I really want and aim at, that in order to deliver, you need to first take care of yourself, because there's a very common Hindi dialogue or quote, I don't know, but that is jaan hai tabhi jahan hai. So you need to have yourself first to actually have save the world or serve the world. So I think that is something what mindfulness can help you with. So yeah, so moving on to the, I think this is going to be one of the last coping strategies. I want you all to take the screenshot of this. You can use it as a an activity for everyday basis.
May I also add something?
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Actually, it was like we must have seen the polluted water, and we used to keep it for some time. The dust particle used to settle down. So I feel meditation is also this mindfulness is also like of that stuff. When we used to have thoughts in our mind that roaming around. So while doing this mindfulness, we see that all such kind of thoughts used to settle down and we become conscious.
Wow, amazing. Absolutely. A very, very uh, good example to explain mindfulness. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. So yeah, moving on, and I think it is actually very, very important to understand that, like as it was mentioned, that settling your negative thoughts is also a challenge because we spend so much time in negativity as well to some extent that we forget that they can also impact us. It's not just we are thinking about them. So and they become so unconscious. They're just you might not even be consciously aware, oh, I am being negative, oh, the thoughts are impacting me. And I think mindfulness, like it has been just mentioned, it helps you to step back and just see that things are not that bad. So yeah, now let's just do the final segment of the activity where I want you all to just write three things you're grateful about today in this moment, whatever it comes to your mind. It could be anything. So take 2 minutes and write about three things that you think you are grateful about. I think some of you have already started answering, and that's so
Yes.
great. But I want to go back, and I think I missed this thing which Dr. Sanjali had mentioned about sipping the water, where she said, I closed my eyes while sipping water and just imagined how it travels through my body. And it was a great experience to be with myself and my body. And I think that is the core learning of, I think, especially keeping environment in mind. And that's what nature also teaches us, that it's very important to have that balance between your nature and nurture, which is basically your body and your surroundings and your soul. So that's why they say body, mind and soul, where you need to have all of that balanced. And I think that balance, if we can actually figure that balance out, maybe just for 5 minutes in a day, can actually add a lot of value, and it'll make life worthwhile. So yes, very, very nicely said. Okay, so looking at the gratefulness. So my health, my happy family and friends, my stable job in these testing times. Absolutely. It is amazing. Life, good family, kids, amazing. Life, wow, wonderful. I think a lot of common things are there that having that health, especially with the pandemic, and it has been really, really crazy with so much of things being uncertain and difficult, especially during this time. So health has become, I really, and it takes immense, it gives me immense happiness to see that how health has become the first thing for a lot of people now. It wasn't really considered to be the primary thing for a long time, but now it has become the primary thing. So good to see that. And wonderful, wonderful answers. All right. So moving on from here, I have. So before I move forward from here, I want all of us, and it is, I mean, I'll appreciate if you can actually unmute yourself and take this pledge that I acknowledge and accept that mental well-being is equally as important as physical health. Let's take a pledge.
I
I
acknowledge and
acknowledge and
accept
accept that
Acknowledge and accept
mental
mental
that
well-being
well-being
is
mental
is
equally
well-being
as
is
important
equally
as
as important
physical
as physical
health.
health.
Mental well-being is equally as important
As
as
important
physical.
as physical health.
Mental well-being is
I
equally
acknowledge
as
and accept
important
that mental well-being is equally as important as physical health.
I
Thank you so
acknowledge
much.
and accept that mental well-being is equally as important as physical health.
I acknowledge and accept that mental well-being is equally as important as physical health.
Great. So now I think that you have pledged. So you have to be the people who have to take this message forward to your classes, and not just to your classes. I think everywhere you go, that you have to consider your mental health as important as your physical health, and you will take care of it, and you will consciously do that, and that's what is important. So that was one thing that I wanted to do, and moving on, this is something I want you to take it as a takeaway again. You can take a screenshot of it, which you can use with your students to take care of their mental health. How can you cope with that? So, this has been given by CDC, so it is well researched, and I think you should take it. All right, so we are almost coming towards the end of the activities that we did. Again, I just want to say that the only way you can manage, at least for now, you can manage your mental well being, that has to start from you. You have to take that step. Do not think these are something that everybody talks about. Yes, they are talking about, everybody is talking about this because they do work, but the thing is, you have to take that step. You have to do it on the everyday basis, and if you do that, I think that will be, the start of you being able to go better. I won't say it will change everything, but yes, it will be, some sort of that safe friend which can actually help you your mental, like if you actually make this as a friend for you, that yes, I have to take care of my mental well-being, which is your friend that you have to take care of, then just take care of your mental well-being. If you think you can't take care of yourself, then maybe make your mind as your friend and then take care of it. But do take care of your I think mental health, that is something which is very, very important. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I hope that you like this session, and I hope that I could take out some stress out from your life. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sasha ma'am, for such a wonderful, wonderful and enriching session. I appreciate you from core of my heart. It was really an amazing session for all of us.
Here, Shashama, I want to say something. We all know each and everything. Okay? We think that we know each and everything and we can apply also. But this session is for us so that we can remind all those things. The way we have to teach everything to the students. Okay? The way we need some teaching also. We need a teacher also. We need a leader also who can teach us. So thanks a lot for this lovely session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think that's the whole motive of it. I think you all know everything. It's just that, like you mentioned, remind yourself and do it on a daily basis. That's what matters. Yeah.
Thank you, Sasa, for such a wonderful session. Uh, you can ask that why we had kept this session with the environmental science, because as you may go to the topic, the headline, workshop topic is COVID-19, Understanding the Challenges and the Solutions of the New World for Education's Frontline Worker. And teachers are the education's frontline worker. So that's why we are talking about their mental health. Because in CMS Vatavaran, what we believe is that this pandemic, the situation which we are facing today, is one of the reason for this is the blatant and shameless destruction of our environment and our ecology. And in Sanskrit, there is a slok that says that Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. What is within is without. So what we are talking is the environment outside, but the same time environment inside. What is here is reflecting outside. So probably this session of Sasha ji will help you to make environment within very cohesive and very friendly. Because as Kiranji was saying that we know everything that sit for meditation, dance, this, do, but we have to sometimes we have to remind ourselves, like, look, we have to do it because we are facing so much of work pressure and all these things which we share earlier, that we somehow somewhere we just ignore the thing which helps these tensions to be a little less. Uh, Now I will request Lima ma'am to uh, have a question session with the uh, our resource persons. Lima ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. And if
After
we have
such a
Radhika ma'am
lovely,
with us,
Sabya,
yes,
after such a lovely interactive session, I'm not sure if the teachers would want to go back to didactic learning and how to work the online education methods. So what say teachers, you want to stop here or you want to go forward?
please let us know your thoughts.
Go ahead, ma'am. It's
Go ahead.
quite a good session.
Okay, so I would like to call on Radhika.
Yes, Lima.
Yeah, Radhika. So
Yes.
Radhika, we've heard both the teachers have heard both how going forward what kind of stuff can they work on, uh, also the whole WWF experience, experiential learning and immersive learning, and of course Sasha's mental well-being both for teachers and some things that they can practice with their students. So I was thinking, going forward, how can teachers cope with online teaching methods? This was something that I had on my mind, and I'm sure most teachers would want to look at this as well. So, teachers, if you have any answers, you have an idea, you can post it on the chat while we explore stuff here.
Lima, I had one observation and a thought, which,
Yeah.
yeah, I also, I mean, it's connected to the well-being session,
Yeah.
is that, nature, the sounds of nature. I mean, all of us run away for a holiday. What is so special when we used to go to the mountains or the holidays and all of that? So nature too has that, calming effect.
Completely.
So I think so. That's a very interesting thing in the sense that we can, you win both things. You bring well-being in, and you bring nature also into the lives of children and teachers, right?
Yeah.
That's also another thing that
So in
can.
a
Yeah.
So in a sense, when children are not really going so much outdoors, can we bring some of the outdoors indoors, like creating a garden, a balcony garden,
growing your vegetables,
growing food at home? Because going forward, the food crisis was looming very large. If you look at how climate is changing,
Yeah, yeah.
and how some things, especially the agroecology sector, some of our vegetables have completely gone extinct, and we don't even know about them.
True.
Yeah. So can we do some of these activities with children?
Yeah, I'm sure we can, because like what Sasha is saying about mindfulness, I think so. Way you look, if you sit in your balcony and you just look at the clouds and you just see them go slowly, or you
Yeah.
just observe. I think so. Those same strategies that she's talked about, like you drink your water and what
Yeah.
are you feeling, those strategies can be used with teachers, with children.
Yeah, true.
And you're bringing them closer to nature too, and you are doing what Sasha also says, because children are also going through anxiety. If we adults are going through it, imagine what children are feeling. So
Completely, yeah.
I don't know if Sasha agrees on that, but yeah.
No, I completely agree. because I think that makes a lot of sense. And like you, I personally feel, because whenever I have taught, and this is just from my personal experience, that even when we were not even the pandemic situation, we used to make our students, right after their lunch, we used to make them just lie down and listen, and we used to play the music of nature eventually, because in the city areas where we live, there was no possibility to bring them closer to the nature, so we used to bring nature closer to them. So I think nature has this soothing effect all of its own. I think that is something which is really useful. Absolutely
True. In this pandemic, people have seen more sunrises, more sunsets. They've identified clouds. They've been able to, take a lot of energy from their surroundings, from nature especially. So, can nature be integrated in a sense in how they teach? Can they bring in some of those elements in their teaching, including meditation, including nature sounds, including bird calls? My Facebook wall is completely filled with flowers and plants and sounds and nests. And, you know, people are now coming to observe the sparrows more. And therefore, um mindfulness is what is happening all around. So going
ma'am, I
forward,
would like to add one thing.
yeah,
Like you have mentioned, it's absolutely true, especially like if we were to discuss the activities with the lesson planning and whatever goes in the process of teaching. I think more of the homework that used to be more about linking to the technology, going on to doing those things, rather now the homework could be around how can they get the observations from the nature around, and that can be inculcated in their experiences, and then they can write the experience instead of going on and googling it and
yeah.
searching for it.
Yeah,
I
in
think that
fact,
would become more
yeah,
experiential.
absolutely. In fact, environment education, if you remember, Radhika, was also immersed with the curriculum at one point. This was a huge exercise that was undertaken by the NCRT and lots of us. So that documents are already available. I don't know how teachers can have access to that, wherein even mathematics can be taught in nature.
Yeah.
Physics, chemistry, and all of that can be integrated with nature science and nature education.
Yeah,
We need,
we just need to be mindful. I mean, it's called infusion, right?
yeah,
You just infuse it. I mean, you in mathematics you use an example. So if you're talking fractions and you give an example about a tree trunk, and you use that. And similarly, if you want children to do mindfulness, you can bring in nature. So there's so many ways of integrating nature,
true.
and we just
So,
have to.
so teachers, the Center for Environment Education, WWF, the Environment Education Research Institute in Pune, affiliated with the Bharati Vidyapeeth University, all of them have brought out excellent articles on infusing and immersive learning of subjects of course curriculum with environment education. Please see if you can get hold of that. We will through Sabyasachi and the CMS network send you links and send you stuff as to how you can procure them or you can access them, maybe free resources or what have you. So maybe
Certainly.
Radhika, we can put together something like that.
Yes, yes.
And make it available to the teachers so that they can they don't have to reinvent the wheel, because as it is, yeah.
Absolutely.
So these are available. And this was a huge pan-India exercise that was undertaken over 5 years. So I don't know if many teachers here are they know about it. Anything else that you want to ask us, you can.
Yeah, kindly feel free to ask if you have any doubts, any question, any query. If you give any suggestion, if you want to share some best practices,
Yeah.
please feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. Please share your thoughts. In the meantime, I have a question for Sasha. So, Shasa, you are working as a co-founder of Moksha In, and probably that's also dealing with the mental health. So can you tell us a little about that also?
Sure, sure. So it is Mokshin, and the name is very interesting because I just thought that something which is closest to calm and tranquility and peace, which is moksha, and we all want to be liberated. So that is how it comes from in Mokshin. And what we are trying to solve is that all of us, even in most of the schools also, there is a common system, HLM system, which is set up in all of our computers and whatever we are using, since we are becoming very digital. So our aim is to create a kind of a technology that can help businesses understand how is their employees mental well-being. And after understanding them, that we are not only aiming at identification, we are also aiming at making them aware of it all through technology and not taking extra time out, because that becomes a challenge sometimes. And also from there, what could be the possible interventions? So these are the three things that we are trying to solve, but at workplace. Because I personally believe this thing, that we talk about mental health, but unless it becomes a mindset, it becomes more of a lifestyle choice, it will always be a struggle. So we just have to make it more of a everyday, normalize it and make it more of a culture. So that's the aim.
So how it can be helpful to the teachers, Moksha?
So Mokshan is it is for, so teachers are also the employees of an organization. So this is a direct thing for, like, for any school. They have their own systems there. We will give them our integrated, like our software, and they will integrate it, and it starts from there. That's it. It's just that simple.
So for that, they have to get in touch with you. How can they get in touch?
They can, I can definitely share my email ID and they can reach out to me. I am on all the social media. I've already, I think, shared that we are on all social media pages as well. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. You can reach out to our website, you can connect us. We are everywhere. So yeah, technology is there.
Uh, Lima man, any observation?
No, Sabya, we have given the teachers a way to go forward in terms of what they can do. There's also Sasha, who's looked at the internal well-being of teachers. I think without overloading them with too much information, I think we should say our thank yous and thank everybody for being here, for being so patient, and for being so kind with their listening. And right now, and then going forward, we will equip the teachers with all the resources that we have, with all the organization that has worked in this area in the past, including all the links to resources, and where if they need, they can buy them or acquire them, and we can equip the teachers and strengthen them. They can then practice all that they've heard today, and in case they hit a roadblock, they can always get back to us.
Okay. Yeah.
We can share our numbers with them, our websites and all of that.
Yes.
So thank you so much, teachers.
Friends, we had given you the feedback form link. The feedback form link will be live for 3 hours. It's a simple feedback form, so kindly use the form. And after getting feedback from form for you, we will send the participation certificate to your given email ID. Vasanti ma'am, are you there with us? So,
yes, I'm very much here, Sabi.
Yeah.
I was just
Ma'am, can some last word, some observation, some suggestion, ma'am, before we say vote of thanks?
Okay, just let me put on the video 1 minute. Yes, I think that was a very interesting and certainly very useful session. I must thank all the 3 panelists. Lima, of course, as usual, has given very interesting, larger, broad viewpoint of the education system and what the teachers can do. Radhika, of course, has given us a very exact activities and activities and processes that can go, and also resources that teachers can accept or take forward if they want to bring in environmental education into their curriculum. And of course, Sasha has really helped not just teachers, everybody, I would say. Even I was, interestingly, it was useful to all of us, all people who are now working in this stressful condition. Yes, it's useful to all of us. So yes, as you rightly pointed out, Sabi, it's a process of creating that safer environment outside and inside, healthier and safer environment both outside and inside us. And it is of course a task that all of us will continue to do, and we will have to face many more challenges in the coming years. And I think it's up to, but when you call them frontline workers, I don't disagree with you, but I think they are more than frontline workers. They are people who inspire others, and that's why they're teachers as a section or a group of people are our gurus who will nurture and shape the future generations to come, along with parents, of course. But both parents and teachers then therefore are very critical in how they see themselves, and how their interaction with environment happens, and how they bring environment to both the classrooms and inspire students to explore their potential, with integrated into the conservation efforts that all of us will now have to be part of. It's not the government will do something, or the health workers will do something, or experts or scientists will do something. We clearly know that that's no longer the possibility. The UN will not do anything. We cannot wait for others to do. It's all of us. Each one of us have to contribute, and I think it will be integral. The COVID pandemic has certainly taught all of us that if we don't do our bit, we are going to suffer, and we are suffering. The message is loud and clear. The nature has given us very loud and clear signals that we have abused it enough. And if we don't work with it, live in harmony with it, we will have to suffer. So in that direction, we certainly need an army of fantastic teachers like we have today. I'm very happy to tell you that we have had more than 85-90 teachers who have sat through the whole session and are dedicated, are obviously interested in knowing more and doing more in this side, in this direction. So yes, we are all with you, with all the teachers. As Dima promised, as Radhika said, and as Sasha said, we will be with you. We appreciate what you're doing. We have promised to send you all possible resources. As I mentioned earlier, we have these films. Certainly, we're happy to share it with you. We have this network interaction with such experts like Radhika and Sasha and Liba can be arranged at demand and as your requirement is. So please feel free to interact with us, ask us, because we're all there at your service. So yes, please feel free to connect with us. And on that note, thank you all the participants, and I must a special thanks to all the three panelists. I would say it was extremely illuminating, and I learned a lot to interacting with you, and I think that the teachers also participated very well and gave inputs, and I would like to see more such interactive sessions in future also. So thank you all to Rima.
For sure.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much.
You guys are
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You've taken out your time and participated. Last but not least, I must thank my own team. Sabisachi's idea, it was basically, he's been pushing for it. So thank you, Sabi, for doing it. And of course, Preeti and Kavita, who have been helping him bring together this whole thing. So yes, the team, and thanks to our partners also, the Canadian High Commission, and then the EU delegation in India, Lead the Green Change biodiversity campaign. All of us together have partnered to bring this to you, and we're happy to bring more programs like this. So do be part of us, be connected on the social media, be connected to us through email, and we look forward together making this army. We have to create an army now, not to fight, but to preserve and conserve our nature and live in harmony. Thank you very
We
much.
call ourselves the Green Party of India.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. It was awesome.
Thank you, Vasanti ma'am, for
Thank you.
such a
It was really an awesome
yeah.
session, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, everyone. I had given
Thank you,
the
sir.
feedback form link in the chat box. If you don't have received it, please let me know so that before closing the session, you will have the feedback form link.
Thank you,
And
Sabia.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sasha,
Bye.
for
Thank
such
you
a
so
wonderful
much.
session.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And
Bye,
thank you.
Sasha. Lovely meeting you here.
Same here, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So, and then also thank you. I want to express my gratitude to Radhika ma'am also for accepting invitation. As ma'am was saying that we wish to express our gratitude to our program partners, Canadian High Commission in India and uh, European High Commission, European Union in India for their kind help. And I also want to express, heartfelt gratitude to like Khan Rajani. He's head of advocacy and public affairs, High Commission of Canada, for his inaugural address. That was very insightful. Thank you all the participants who were there with us for the whole 3 hours. And last not the least, as ma'am has already said, thanks a lot the CMS Vatavaran team who is behind the screen. Thank you, Preeti, for all your effort, for everything. Thank you, Kavita, and thank you. We also want to express our gratitude to the one of three member Rajkumar, Suraj, uh, Bharat, who is taking care of the technical thing and rest of. Thank you very much. Have a great day.